The average woman waits 6.5 years before telling a single doctor about her bladder leaks. 6.5 years of choosing the aisle seat, mapping bathrooms before she sits down, wearing certain colors on certain days, quietly adjusting her entire life and calling it fine. But here's what nobody tells her during those 6.5 years of waiting. This is fixable. It always was. And today we are talking about what those years actually cost and what it looks like to stop paying that price. I want to ask you something, and I want you to be really honest with yourself when you answer this. When was the last time your bladder made a decision for you? Not a small one, a real one. The trip you didn't book, the speaking opportunity you passed on, the job you didn't apply for because it involved a lot of traveling or long days away from the bathroom because you don't know it's a new place, it's a new location, so you're not aware about it. The workout class you quietly stopped going to because of the fear. The dinner you left early because it was not manageable. The date you cancelled. Maybe you told yourself it was the timing. Maybe you said you weren't quite ready. Maybe you blamed it on something else. But if you are completely honest, you know your bladder said no. Your bladder is controlling your whole situation and you went along with the whole process. We talk a lot about symptoms, leaks, urgency, frequency, pads, exercises, dietary changes, and all of that matters. But what we don't talk about enough is the life happening around those symptoms. The quiet accumulating cost of managing this day after day, year after year. And things keeps getting worse because here's what I see with my clients. They don't just come to me with a bladder problem. They come carrying years of small decision that slowly created a smaller life. Turning down a speaking opportunity they got, not because they weren't ready, but because the thought of being on stage for 45 minutes without a bathroom felt terrifying. Skipping the promotion that involved travel, not because they didn't wanted it, but because navigating airports with an unpredictable bladder felt super overwhelming. Wearing certain colors and certain clothes, not because of style, but because of what they hide. Sitting on the aisle seat in every flight, every theater seat, always positioned for a quick exit. Leaving events early, saying no to spontaneous plan because you have a fear in the back of your mind. Building a life that looks full from the outside, but quietly, invisibly shaped by something nobody knows about. Research tells us 1 in 4 women take time off work because of bladder problems. So now you can think. Overactive bladder influences decision about leaving jobs or retiring early because of fear, shame, embarrassment. And 90% of women says it affects their mental health, their confidence, their work, their relationship, their time with their kids. 90%. And yet, the average woman waits 6 years before telling a doctor about what they have been dealing with. 6 years of quietly managing. 6 years of the invisible tax. I'm not sharing these numbers to make you feel worse. I'm sharing them so you know something important. What you are carrying is real. Something what you're feeling is real. It's heavy, it's emotional, it causes mental load, and you've been carrying it all alone for far too long. Here's the part I think about a lot. This isn't just about symptoms, it's about identity. Because something like this shapes your decisions day after day, year after year. It slowly changes how you see yourself. You start believing you are someone who can't do certain things, someone who has to plan around her body, someone who is a little less free than everyone else in the room. And what makes this even harder is that most of the women I work with are high achievers in every other part of their life. They are capable, they are competitive, but this one private, invisible problem that they are dealing with from a long time makes them feel like a fraud, like they're not doing anything for their career. Like underneath everything is a woman who can't even trust her own body. I hear this all the time. My body is betraying me. I'm great at my job, but I'm terrified. Someone will notice how often I go to the bathroom. The shame around this is huge, and shame keeps women silent. It keeps them from taking action on it. It keeps them managing instead of fixing. And what breaks my heart is this. Most women assume they just have to live with it, that it's a consequences of having babies or getting older or just how their body is. They started to think all of this in their head, that their only option is getting better at hiding it. Nobody told them it's treatable. Nobody told them they could get their life back. So let me say it clearly. The leak is not a life sentence. Before we go into recovery, if you are sitting here thinking, this sounds exactly like you, what you have been dealing with, I want you to know you don't have to wait another 6 years. There is a link below in the show notes where you can book a free call with me just to talk, to figure out what's actually driving your symptoms, and we can create a plan what you need to get your career advanced. Now let's talk about what reclaiming your life actually looks like. What recovery actually looks like, what you can do about it. Let me give you a different picture. Recovery doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the beginning. It's small things that you do, the small changes that you make. You notice the urge isn't as strong. You go 3 hours without thinking about your bladder. You sit through an entire meeting without scanning for the nearest exit. Then it builds. You book something, a trip or a workout class, a dinner reservation, somewhere new where you don't even know where the bathrooms are, you haven't navigated that place before, and you go. That's a progress. You see those small changes and you start seeing you're fine with that because you did train your brain, you train your bladder. Then one day you realize something super surprising. You haven't planned your outfit around your bladder in weeks. You chose clothes because you like them, not because you are trying to hide something underneath. You see those big changes that might sound small. It isn't. Then you say yes to something you have been saying no to for years. Isn't that surprising? Something you have said no to for years, and all of a sudden you're saying yes. A speaking opportunity, a weekend getaway, a new role, and you do it without constantly tracking the nearest bathroom. That's what reclaiming your life actually looks like. Taking back the control of your life and not letting your bladder be the bossy bladder. Quiet freedom, trusting your body again. The work that makes this possible is actually simple. Not easy, but simple. It involves retraining 3 things. Your pelvic floor, not just doing Kegels, working on real strength and coordination. Retraining everything. Your nervous system, because urgency is deeply connected to your stress response. So stress affects how many times you go to the bathroom, your leaks, your urgency, and your bladder habits. Undoing the patterns that keep reinforcing the problem. So kind of think about like retraining the small daily habits. Those 3 things done consistently with the right guidance create real lasting change. I want to leave you with one thing today: permission. Permission to stop just coping. Permission to want more than just managing. Your life matters. The full version of it, the version where you say yes. Almost every woman I speak with says the same thing. I can't believe I waited this long. Not because they were weak, but because nobody told them this was fixable. So I'm telling you now, you don't have to choose between your career and your bladder. You don't have to plan your outfits around leaks. You don't have to keep saying no to things that make you feel like yourself. Now that you know this is fixable, the next video is about 5 everyday habits that are quietly making your bladder works. Be sure to watch that. You're probably doing them without realizing it.